Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, this is John Paval with the Access Arts Live roundup of performing arts live streams for this week, August 4th to 11th, 2025. Here we are in the heart of the summertime, and there's live stream action going on all over the place, from Minnesota to Leipzig and elsewhere. There's the Bowdoin Festival. There's which is Bowdoin International Music Festival in Brunswick, Maine, finishing up with two more live concerts this week. There's the Lakes Area Music Festival in Minnesota, continuing with an opera next Sunday. There is the Salzburg Festival taking place with a live stream offered by Stage Plus for that. So there's just live streaming going on all over the place, and I'm happy to bring it to you. Before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn. Folks, I'd just like to show you momentarily a nice little photo of all the different artists and composers of note to discover this week. There'll be Carlos Simon, there'll be Amy Williams, there's Mel Bonis, who many of you don't know, and then works by Mahler and Shostakovich. Those are all the pictures across the bottom rank there. And then there'll be two concerts by United States military chamber music ensembles. So we've got a lot to go through. And so without further ado, let me get to the first of the offerings. First two things I want to tell you about is I want to tell you about the Bowdoin International Music Festivals, the last two concerts that they're going to be doing out of 54 concerts altogether. Now, all of those were not the kind of concerts by their guest artists and faculty members that we showed you. Some of them were by the students there. Some of them were master classes. And I encourage you, they're ongoing still until August 8th, and there are more than we're able to tell you about. So it's worthwhile going over there and checking that out. We should be ready to go now if the photo has been uploaded for you, and it has. Monday, August 4th, Bowdoin Music Festival live streams the Jupiter Quartet once again, playing works by Brahms and César Franck from the 1870s and contemporary composer Carlos Simon's Warmth from Other Suns, composed in 2019. That'll be at their usual time of 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 9:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning, down under Australian Eastern Standard Time. That would be in Sydney or Melbourne. The Jupiter String Quartet is the quartet in residence at the University of Illinois since 2012. It's very much a family affair. There's Nelson Lee on the violin, but then the others are all related to each other. Meg Freivogel on the violin, her sister Liz Freivogel on the viola. She's Meg's older sister. And Daniel McDonough on the cello, and Daniel McDonough is Meg's husband. They've been performing across all over the U.S. and Canada and Europe and Asia as well. Places like Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, Wigmore Hall, the Sejong Chamber Hall in Seoul, just top quality. They performed the complete Bartók string quartets at the University of Illinois. They did a complete cycle of Beethoven string quartets at the Aspen Music Festival. And they have also commissioned a half a dozen string quartets and a piano quartet, etc. So they'll start out doing Brahms's Piano Quintet in F minor, Opus 51, number 1, composed in 1873. The one that took him 8 years to compose. Then to conclude the concert, they will do César Franck's Piano Quintet in F minor, Opus 14, composed just 6 years later in 1879. So if you like this late 19th century music, well, this will be a régal for you, as the French would say. That was the Piano Quintet, which at the premiere of it in 1879, Saint-Saëns, Camille Saint-Saëns, the French composer and organist at the Madeleine church, which is right down the street from my place in Paris, by the way. But anyway, Saint-Saëns played the piano at the premiere, but then there was this tremendous applause for it afterwards, and César Franck came out and publicly dedicated the work to Saint-Saëns, and Saint-Saëns walked off the stage in the middle of the dedication. So there was a little bit of not the greatest good blood between the two of them. They had some disagreements about the influence of German music on French music. I don't know what that's about. And on that, it's a piano quintet. So they'll be joined by John Nakamatsu, the Jupiter Quartet, and John Nakamatsu. He's been on the faculty of the San Francisco Conservatory since 2013, and he's been at the Stanford University, one of my alma maters, School of Music since 2023. I'm not a graduate of the School of Music. I'm a graduate of their classics department. The interesting thing about Nakamatsu's connection with Stanford is when he was a student, he studied German there. He got a BA and then a graduate degree in German. Wasn't studying music, then ends up winning the Van Cliburn Gold Medal in 1997, and he's been touring around with top orchestras since then. He has a recording on YouTube of Schumann's Second Piano Sonata, which has 600,000 views. So you might want to go look at that too. Then in between these two pieces, in between the Brahms and the Franck, then they play something very contemporary, composed just about 5-6 years ago by Carlos Simon, Warmth from Other Suns. Who is Carlos Simon? Do I have his picture there for you? Yeah, he's the guy there on the right, looking very debonair. Carlos Simon is the composer in residence at the Kennedy Center, and he's also the first person to hold the composer chair of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. This past season, his gospel mass was premiered by Gustavo Dudamel, of course, in the LA Phil. And he's done other commissions for the New York Phil, the Detroit Symphony, and others. This piece, Warmth of Other Suns, is based on the book The Warmth of Other Suns by a Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Isabel Wilkerson. It's about the great migration of African Americans from the Jim Crow South up to the north and the northern urban cities. And it's in 3 parts. Rays of Light, which is about conceiving the idea of going to the north for the hope of greater freedom and a better future, and making that decision. Then Flight, which is when the decision is made and you go, and then Settled, which is about arriving in the new place and settling in. So that should be a pretty good concert, and you'll get to hear for whether or not you love that 19th century stuff or whether you love the very contemporary stuff. You can't go wrong, and it's free of charge, as have been all of the Bowman Festival live streams. Chapeau, as the French would say, hats off. Okay, then there's another Bowman International Music Festival, and sadly the last that I get to tell you about. I'd love to go on and tell you about them the whole summer long because they've been very, very fine, real quality concerts, free of charge. I mean, you can't beat that. These are terrific people up there in Brunswick, Maine. Love to go there in person sometime and do some live streams from there. So this will be on Wednesday, August 6th. The Bowdoin International Music Festival live streams its last full chamber concert of this year's festival with the Mendelssohn Sonata, a piano quartet by Fauré, and 2 pieces by contemporary composer Amy Williams. So they're at it again, sandwiching a contemporary piece or contemporary music by two classic pieces. I just love this format, and they've done it a number of times this summer in their various live streams that we've been telling you about. That'll be Wednesday at the usual time, 7:30 in the evening on the East Coast, 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe, and 9:30 Thursday morning down under in Australia. The Mendelssohn is a sonata for cello and piano number 2 in D major, Opus 58. It will be played by the husband and wife team of Edward Aaron on the cello and Ji-won Park, the Korean-born pianist, on the piano. They are, as I've probably told you a half a dozen times already, covering other concerts they've done at this festival. They're both artistic directors of the Performing Arts in Residence series at the Clark Institute in Massachusetts. And they have recorded Beethoven's complete works for cello and piano on the Aeolian Classics record label. I think the guy who runs the Aeolian Classics is also on the faculty at Bowdoin, but his name escapes me for the moment. Edward he's on the faculty at the University of Massachusetts Amherst and does do some playing in Boston at chamber music events. Ji-won Park, she's a concert soloist and chamber music performer, so she's out there playing on the road all the time. I love that. Okay, then they will conclude the concert with Fauré's Piano Quartet number 1 in C minor, Opus 15. It's interesting the differing relationship that Fauré and César Franck had with Camille Saint-Saëns. If you followed my commentary about the Monday concert where they're doing a piece by César Franck, there was that famous sort of public kind of a break between Franck and Saint-Saëns when Franck tried to dedicate one of his pieces to Saint-Saëns after Saint-Saëns had played it. Fauré was much closer with Saint-Saëns. They formed the Société Nationale de Musique together, the National Society for Music, which was committed to the promotion of French music and living French composers. What they say about this piano quartet is that there's very sad adagio portion in it. And Fauré fell in love with Mariana Viardot. She was the daughter of a mezzo-soprano and composer, Pauline Viardot, who held sort of salons. And Fauré used to hang out at those salons for musicians and musical types all the time. And he had like a 5-year courtship of Mariana, and they finally got engaged. And 4 months later, she broke off the engagement. And some people say, well, that's what you're going to hear in that adagio section. And then other musicologists say, no, nothing at all. No, it didn't have anything. So you decide. Anyway, on the piece by Fauré, you'll once again have Edward Aaron and Ji-won Park, as it is a piano quartet. And then they'll be joined by Sergiu Schwartz on the violin. He's a professor at the Schwab School of Music at Columbus State University in Georgia, and he also teaches at the Conservatoire in Lausanne, Switzerland. Done a lot of recording on LSO and the Vox label, and he's done concert appearances often in Europe and in an awful lot of U.S. states too, over 40 U.S. states and 20 European countries. So, and then on the viola is Ivo John van den Werf, who's on the viola faculty at Rice University. He was, for about 40 years, from 1983 to 2014, a member of the Medici String Quartet, which ended in 2014. So he performed in about 2,000 concerts. So with them, so very experienced musicians and all of that. So then we get to this piece by Amy Williams. So The only musician we know the name of in the piece by Amy Williams is the guy in the far right there in the picture. That's Luke Rinderknecht, who's the percussion specialist tearing a piece of paper during a concert, I'm sure, at some time in the past. And he's one of the festival faculty. He'll be accompanied by a bunch of the festival fellows. The festival fellows are young up-and-coming musicians who are just getting past the study stage and just beginning to have the engagement stage. But I don't have the names of the one in this one. As for Luke Rinderknecht, he teaches at the Cleveland Institute of Music, and he made his debut in Cleveland with the Cleveland Orchestra performing Paul Creston's Marimba Concerto. And I love Paul Creston, so I think Luke Rinderknecht must have a great sensibility if he loves it too. Anyway, then they do two pieces by Amy Williams. Well, then in between, they do two pieces. One of them is called Switch, and one of them is called Cineshaped 3. Amy Williams is on the faculty at the University of Pittsburgh, and she's a composer, and she's had her works presented at places like the Lucerne Festival, Lincoln Center, Tanglewood, Wigmore Hall, Aix-en-Provence Festival, Spoleto, etc. And she's also a performer. She performs with the Bugallo-Williams piano duo. So one of the pieces is Cineshaped 3. And this was based on a film, The Lives of Others, by German filmmaker Florian Kenkel von Donnersmarck from 2006. If you really want to research it, you want to go watch that movie before you watch the piece, or see the movie after you listen to the piece. And she did a series of Cineshapes. This is number 3 in the series. And then there was another piece called Switch from 2014. And here's what she says about it. The term switch has multiple meanings that are relevant to this piece for piano duet. A device for making and breaking the connection in an electronic circuit, a sudden change, a shift in direction or focus, a thin flexible rod or twig, to exchange or swap, to jerk or swish abruptly, etc. So look for that to be a fun piece played by Luke Rinderknecht and a bunch of the younger fellows at the concert. Actually, this involves the piano, and it involves playing 4 hands at times. So I think you just got to tune in to find out exactly what this is. Okay, so then we move on to other things besides the Bowdoin International Festival. Starting right away with Tuesday, a new series that we've just discovered. Then I'm always happy when we discover a new series. And this one is the Rush Hour concert series put on by Classical Music Chicago every week. If you don't know the music of Mel Bonus, you can discover it Tuesday, August 5th in Classical Music Chicago's live stream of the Merida Trio, playing Schubert, Babajanian, and Mel Bonus. That'll be in a Chicago Rush Hour concert. Those concerts are always at 5:45 p.m. Chicago Daylight Time, which is 6:45 on the East Coast, 45 minutes after midnight in Europe, and 8:45 in the morning down under in Australia. The Merida Quartet is Charlene Klugel on the violin, Gene Hatmaker on the cello, and Catherine Peterson on the piano. They'll be playing Franz Schubert's Piano Trio in B-flat major. To start with, they will conclude with Arno Babajanian's Piano Trio in F-sharp minor, composed in 1952. If you don't know Arno Babajanian, he was a mid-20th century composer. And then in between, they'll be doing 2 pieces, one called Evening and one called Morning for piano trio. It's Opus 76 by Mel Bonus, which she composed in 1907. 9 minutes long. Her real name was Mélanie Hélène Bonis. She changed it. When she published her works, she did so as Mel Bonus because there was so much bias against female composers. And but she wrote more than 300 pieces. piano solos, organ pieces, chamber music, melodies, choral music, a mass, works for orchestras. She got into the Paris Conservatory. She was born like in 1858. So she was exceptionally got into the Paris Conservatory because her music teacher got her in, put her together with César Franck, so Franck could hear how well she played, and he got her in. And so she was in the same classes as Claude Debussy. But, you know, it's kind of a tragic story because there's a whole story. She fell in love with this poet, and so she was writing music based on his poems and all, and her family wouldn't have it. And they married her off to an industrialist who already had 5 children and didn't like music. She had 3 more children with him. And so in terms of performing, well, it was over. Not raising 8 kids, it wasn't going to work. But she did get back to composing in the 1890s and then composed all this stuff. So, but she had sort of ill health that came in starting during World War I. And then all this progressive music left her behind in the style of 19th century Romanticism that she practiced so well. But it's worth discovering her, I think. As for the Merida Trio, between them, they have 42 years of collective chamber experience in groups like the Contras Quartet, the Fifth House Ensemble, and such in Chicago. And they all are involved in teaching and have been involved in playing at different chamber music festivals around the country. And they're graduates of schools like the Peabody Conservatory, the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music, and the New England Conservatory. So these are, I don't have time to give you more details about it, but maybe, but you can look that up to get further details if you follow the link to to YouTube, and then follow the link behind that to this Chicago, what is it called again? It's new to me, the Classical Music Chicago Group. Terrific that they're doing this every week. So you'll hear about them again next week. Okay, then we move on to the next in this week's series of chamber music. Something completely different. Okay. There they are. Okay. The United States Navy's top musicians play chamber music, and they'll do so for you this Thursday, August 7th, in the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage live stream, playing Philip Glass, Oscar Bohm, Arthur Bird, and more. That'll be at the usual Kennedy Center time of 6 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, and 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, down under in Australia. They'll be playing Philip Glass's String Quartet number 3, the Mishima, which was arranged by Christopher Rueda, who's a Navy, what do you call him, sailor himself. Oscar Bohm's Sextet, and Arthur Bird's Suite in D. And we don't know any more about that concert than that. And then there's another one coming up, another U.S. Military concert coming up. I don't know if you even saw that photo, because I just got a note telling me that it didn't load. I tried. I thought I saw it up there for a moment, but maybe it just didn't work. Woodwind quintets can be hard to come by, but the U.S. Air Force just happens to have one. And on Friday, August 8th, the Kennedy Center live streams a concert by this ensemble made up of flute, oboe, clarinet, French horn, and bassoon. I have no idea what they're going to be playing, but it'll be at the usual time, 6 o'clock in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight here in Europe, and 8 o'clock on Saturday morning down under in Australia. If you have a hankering to hear a woodwind quintet, this is your chance to do so. And you and I both know you don't get a lot of chances to do so. We have 2 more live streams to tell you about on the weekend, both of them on Sunday, I believe. Yeah. Sorry, I think I jumped the gun there. I think we're not on Sunday yet. I think we're still on Friday. Yes, we are. This Friday, August 8th, the MDR Music Summer opens its 34th concert series with a live stream of South American sounds by Piazzolla, Alberto Ginastera, and guest soloist Omar Massa, along with mezzo-soprano Teodora Bacca. That'll be at 8:15 in Europe on Friday, August 8th, 2:15 in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time, 11:15 in the morning on the West Coast. This is an ARD Classic live stream on YouTube. They have 323,000 subscribers. Wow. Anyway, this comes to you direct from Chemnitz, a European capital of culture in 2025. The MDR Symphony is one which is based in the central German area around Leipzig. This is going to be music devoted to it's Piazzolla and Ginastera and Massa. Omar Massa he was born in Buenos Aires in 1981. He's been based in Berlin since 2019. He's one of the leaders of the whole new Tango Nuevo era, but he'll be playing the bandoneon in this concert. He's received lots of German awards from Opus Classic. He's received the Preis der Deutschen Schallplattenkritik, which is my favorite prize to pronounce. He's been nominated for Composer of the Year, Instrumentalist of the Year. Look, he started out as a 6-year-old playing Piazzolla at the legendary Cafe Tortoni in Buenos Aires. And look at him now. Works with people like Placido Domingo, Jonas Kaufman, Paquito de Rivera. I mean, wow. The soloist, Theodora Bacca, she's Greek-born, but she got her studies in opera and chamber music at the Hochschule in Hanover. But it's early music opera. Mozart, Handel, Vivaldi, Monteverdi, Rameau are her specialties. And she's in chamber music ensembles like early music ensembles like Excellencio, Atalante, and other ensembles like Duo Canción and Erato. So they'll be playing a couple of the pieces. Arturo Marquez's Danzón No. 2, Piazzolla's Libertango and Oblivion, and then other pieces that we don't have the names of, but it'll be Ginastera and Angel Villoldo and Omar Massa and others, we're told. If you like that kind of Southern music, that'll be a good time for you. And it's free of charge, as all of those that ARD Classic live streams are. God bless them. And then we jump ahead to Sunday morning. I don't have anything for you on Saturday, though there'll probably be something coming from the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. And I'm showing you photos of Mahler and Shostakovich because Sunday morning, August 10th, Stage Plus live streams Andris Nelson and the Vienna Phil at the Salzburg Festival, playing that heart-rending adagio from Mahler's 10th Symphony and Shostakovich's 10th Symphony as well. Available as part of a 2-month subscription to Stage Plus for only €1. They're not doing an awful lot of live streaming. Somehow, I think they got cut out of doing most of the live streams at some of like the Verbier Festival, where they did several live streams last summer. They got cut out of it by another competitor whom I never mentioned. Andris Nelson is a Mahler specialist, and this piece. Mahler never finished his Symphony No. 10 in F sharp major, and the last portion that he wrote was this very emotional adagio. So I can commend it to you. It's lovely listening to it. It's worth it for €1, and you get whatever other live streams are doing for the next 2 months, and they do some. And this is high quality stuff. And it's 50 years since Dmitri Shostakovich passed on. Speaking of composers passing on, and like Mahler's last work, and now Shostakovich. So the Vienna Phil in celebrating or marking that occasion by playing his Symphony Number 10 in E minor, Opus 93, which was the first symphony he came up with after the death of his sometime nemesis, Joseph Stalin. You might recall that, I don't know if you know the story, but Shostakovich finished his fourth symphony in 1934 and didn't release it until 1963 or something, because Stalin scared him out of doing so. But bygones be bygones. And that, to me, I think is a lovely pairing of Mahler and Shostakovich, two great composers. €1 for that and everything else that they'll be doing through the month of August and early September. You just can't beat that. Hats off to Stage Plus for doing that promotion. And then you could just cancel after it. I did it last summer. I canceled when the summer was over. Okay, then finally, we have an opera this week. Okay. All right. Sunday, August, let me get the date right. Sunday is August 10th. My notes tell me it's August 8th. Can't be. Okay, Sunday, August 10th, a troupe of up-and-coming opera singers will perform Humperdinck's, sorry, I have to do that again because I mispronounced Humperdinck. Sunday, August 8th, a troupe of up-and-coming opera singers will perform Humperdinck's Hänsel and Gretel in a new production live streamed by the Lakes Area Music Festival at 3 p.m, Minnesota time. The Lakes Area is the Lakes Area of Minnesota, not the Lakes Area of, say, England or the Lakes Area of Sweden, but etc. This is Engelbert Humperdinck's opera, with the libretto by Adelheid Wette, based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tale. They're setting it in Minnesota's northern woods. They have an ongoing program at the festival for up-and-coming opera singers. And so those singers that you see, aside from the first row, they're members of this festival training program for up-and-coming opera singers. So the sort of opera singers who have finished up their studies and they're starting to get roles in places like the Toledo Opera or the Fort Worth Opera, and getting their first chances to be on stage and shine for audiences. So this is your chance to enjoy them. I'll just tell you that the two parts. Ariana Ver is playing the role of Gretel. She's Brazilian-American, graduate of the Washington National Opera's Young Artist Program. She's already had a debut with the Lyric Opera of Chicago in Blue. She'll be at the Seattle Opera for the Magic Flute, and she'll be covering the role of Rosa Parks at the Chicago Opera Theater's She Who Dared. And then in the role of Hänsel is Abi Levis, who was the Joy in Singing Foundation's debut artist of the year. And she sung with, she does a lot of variety. She sung with the LA Opera. She sung Britain's cabaret songs for the Brooklyn Art Song Society. We're always telling you about their live streams. And she, for Opera in the Pines, she sang the role of Elizabeth Proctor in The Crucible. But she's also been over to Europe and had roles with the Deutsche Oper Berlin and with the Luzerne Theater. So she's gotten around and about and is working on building an international career. Folks, that is what we have for you this week. I hope that one, more, some, or any of these live streams inspires you, uplifts you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And with that, I will remind you before leaving, if you're watching this video on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching on any of our other platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn. And we will continue to give you more than 1,000 live links to live performances online in the coming year. We did that last year. We're doing it this year, and no other channel or outfit or content creator online can make that same claim. So follow us and or subscribe to us so that you're in touch with everything that's going on online that we can find for you. I'll say ciao for now. I will be back tomorrow for the roundup of the organ recital live streams this week for all you organ recital lovers.